now to weigh in on what we can expect is Blake Murphy, the managing editor of the website Raptors Republic. Good morning. Thanks for being with us.
Well, thanks for having me on.
So what do you make of the coach saying you got to treat this like a must-win? How crucial is this game for the Raptors?
It's pretty crucial. 2014, only 5 of the guys on the roster were the same. And they were young, and it was their first playoff experience. I don't think that would haunt them necessarily, but the momentum swing of having played a poor Game 4, having needed such a dramatic comeback in Game 5, and then losing Game 6, confidence might be a little shaken heading home, and then your margin for error is so slim. I think they'd much rather win this in Indiana tonight, and that's been the talk all week at practice about how this is a Game 7, to the point that Bismack Biyombo even slipped up and called it Game 7 at one point.
They need to pick up where they left off the other night. Paul George is a major obstacle standing in the Raptors' path to the second round. How do they keep him at bay?
That's the tough question, and they did a little bit of a better job of it in Games 3 and 4. Game 5, he was absolutely incredible. And the thing with a guy like Paul George is he's going to be absolutely incredible. The Pacers basically collapsed when he wasn't on the floor in Game 5. The Raptors outscored Indiana by 18 points in the 7 minutes he sat. So don't expect him to sit much at all. He might play the entire second half on Friday. In terms of what they can do to shut him down, they just have to keep trying what they've been doing. DeMarre Carroll's giving good effort. Norman Powell's doing a pretty good job denying him the ball. And then the big thing is, if you can take everyone else out of the game, as you saw in Game 5, as you saw in Games 2 and 3, Paul George can get his, but if the other Pacers aren't scoring, and the big part of that is their transition offense, so if the Raptors aren't turning the ball over to kind of kickstart the other players around George, George is going to have a tough time carrying the entire load by himself, especially because he's defending DeMar DeRozan for 40-plus minutes too. And, that's a heavy load, and by the fourth quarter, he's probably going to be exhausted.
What about DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry? What can we expect from them tonight?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, because through the first 4 games, DeMar DeRozan was shooting under 30%. He had a great Game 5. The Raptors made some important adjustments to get him a little more comfortable. They made sure when Paul George hit the bench, DeMar DeRozan was on the floor, even if that broke their normal rotation patterns. And that seemed to get him comfortable. Playing small with a lot of space got DeRozan comfortable. So I think they'll try some of those things again. Kyle Lowry is perhaps a bigger question mark, since he's shooting 31% in the series and 19% on threes. But the important thing with Lowry is, even though he's not shooting well, he's still playing well, and he's bringing a lot of defensive intensity and taking charges and fighting for loose balls. And as long as Lowry is doing those things, yes, you'd like him to be shooting better, you'd like him to hit some threes, but as long as he's doing those things, the heart of the team is kind of beating still, especially on the defensive end.
So, Blake, for those of us that maybe only pay attention to the Raptors and aren't aware of the competition that's out there, you've got the big, broad view. In your opinion, do the Raptors have what it takes to make it to the second round of the playoffs?
Yeah, definitely. They're a better team than Indiana. Paul George is playing like he's the best player in this series, but the Raptors have the next 2 best players, maybe the next 3 best players, and that's shown at times, but not consistently. And that's something the Raptors need to figure out, that consistency night after night, playoff game after playoff game. But they won 56 games in the regular season. They're a better team than Indiana, and I think it says a lot that they haven't played particularly well, and they haven't played to the style that they normally play, and they're still ahead in this series 3-2 with a chance to close out tonight.
All right, we'll be watching. Blake Murphy, managing editor of the website Raptors Republic. Thank you.